you.
Oh, there you go. Luisa, where does most of your business come from?
Sphere.
Sphere. Okay. What types like are?
I actually don't know how because I don't really reach out to them.
But you do, because we've talked about you being visible before, especially through like social stuff and all of that, right? So what do you think, what would you attribute that Sphere like success to then?
Just like what you said, I'm a lot on social media. I post like everything and anything, just like what Jessica and Philip said, right? Just recording anything that I do. Well, but I just don't do real estate. I do, I mean, you guys have seen my social media. I'm like silly on it. So I guess people like that I'm being silly. I'm just being myself and I just post whatever. Like if I think I'm posting one thing, like I literally don't have a schedule of what I'm gonna post that day. Like I really don't. But like for one day, like for bold, I'm like, oh, I really love this view. Or one time, like I'm being silly with my son and we're talking about, how he listened to me and all that stuff. So I'm like, hold that thought. Let me record this. And he's like, Mom, I'm like, I'm recording it. And she's like, are you gonna post it? I'm like, yes, I am. And so they all know that. So and I'll just post it. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I want to be like silly right now. Like I want to post this. This is really gonna be fun. Or I post something about my dog. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so cute. Let me post you.
Yeah. So it sounds like that social media side comes pretty naturally to you. So I'm sorry, I have a little visitor here.
Is that Supra?
This is Supra. Does anybody want a kitten? I found her. I found her this week. So yeah, I mean, animals are great, like all of that stuff, obviously we all know, but I think it's for you, like that's come pretty easily for you. And so I think some other people might need more structure around that. What else do you think, do you have repeat business?
I do. I have repeat business. I do get a lot of referrals from people. I'm a little like, once I get going and start talking to people, like I don't shut up. And so my family, my friends are like, we know you're already in real estate. We know. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I'm just letting you know again. So I'm kind of like the go-to person now for my family. I've always been the go-to person for like anything. Then now it's about like real estate. They'll ask me anything about real estate. And then they'll ask me questions. I have families in Vegas. I have my cousin that's moving from Minnesota and she's moving in Northern California, and she's like asking me like, oh, can you represent me? I'm like, I can. But then it was like a relocation that her company's like paying for, and I'm all like, oh, this is too much stuff. So I told her, I'm like, I'll just help you find it, right, and tell you like how everything goes, and then maybe go to Northern California and just do like a weekend getaway. But like pretty much like all my family and my friends, like they know I'm not
a secret agent.
And I'm not a secret agent. Like they're like seriously like sick of me like talking to them. One of my friends actually like texted me like, can you please remove me from your phone in regards to your real estate? I'm like, nope.
Oh my goodness, that's
and
funny.
Like, I'm gonna block you. I'm like, it's okay, I know where you live.
So what so you have your family and everything, and what that kind of reminds me of is is that 6 degrees of separation, where you really just need like a good core group of people that then will refer you that business and whatnot. And I think, I can't remember, we talked about this, was it last week, like having those people who you decide let's say every month or every year, even. I do an annual list of people personally that I know I want to be in front of more. And I think that that's something that everyone could take away. Like I'm always, whenever we hear somebody's story, like what is it that everyone can do that worked for you? And I think, one of the message I'm hearing here is that you have that good core group of people that send you business. So, and it like, it doesn't take 20,000 people. It takes, I mean, even if you're working with investors, like Emilio was saying, really, you just need like 5 investors in your pocket and you're good.
Yeah.
Right.
But the only, to me, the difference with mine is I actually don't have just a core of people. Like, I don't have like, just like with Philip, right? He has like 5 people that he always calls like almost every day saying, hey, you know, real estate.
That's my mom.
I don't. I just basically blast it out and I call all of my database. I like reach out to all of my social. I just call everyone. I really like my 5 people, my 4 people are my everyone. Like for me, like everyone needs to hear what I'm talking about. I need to ask everyone for a business, even if I don't know you, like, you know, you'll kind of like, oh, I really like you, I want to send you a business. We got a call the other 2 or 3 weeks ago in regards to this lady that I helped her, and she was calling from Texas, and there's like a legal or whatever, like a question that she had in regards to like Keller Williams, you know, contract. So apparently, so they were selling a property here in the OC, and then she felt that her brother-in-law is jipping her with the money. So I tried to like explain to her, and she's like, oh my gosh, you are so sweet, and I can't believe like you took this time. Like I literally talked to her for like 45 minutes, and she's like, you took this time to like help me, everything, blah blah blah. And she's like, I'm gonna give you a referral to my sister-in-law who's selling her house in OC, and then I also have a brother that's selling his house in Palmdale. Now I can't promise you that they're gonna choose you, but I'm gonna give you the your number. And she's like, I'm gonna be in California this summer. I would love to have coffee with you. Let's meet in the middle. I'm not like, I'll go to OC, yeah, that's fine. So I have her on my phone. I sent her a thank you card, and then she texted me back like, you are so sweet for sending me a card. And I gave her 3 business cards. And you know, on my 3 business cards on my card, I said, here's my 3 business cards in case it's one for you, one for your friend, and one for your enemy, just in case you want to get away from them. And so she's like, this is so cute, I love it. And I'm like, just call me for any questions.
Okay, time out. Tell me again what you did with the 3 business cards, so everyone caught that.
So every time I give out three business cards, I tell them, here's 3 business cards, one for you to keep, one for your family and friends that you love, and one for your enemy, just in case you want them to get away from you.
You put that in the
Okay,
and I also tell them. So it's a conversation, you know, what do you call that? A conversation.
Yeah, starter.
Like, why? What do you mean enemy? You know, you don't like everybody.
Yeah, I love that. You know, your neighbor who you don't like, can you give this to them? I'll help them move away. Right. And it's a win-win. Okay, so here's the deal, you guys. I mean, so I don't know if you guys do this, but whenever people talk like this, when I get to hear from top producers or people who've had success with something, I'm always writing down options for myself. We don't sometimes realize how much information we get from even just this morning call. So like, I'll just tell you what I have written down so far. Open houses, door knocking, DMs, right? Social media all around, Father's Day, Sphere, funny Facebook posts, business cards, and, you know, thank you cards, right? And this is all aside from just the database calls. So like, when you think about your business, everybody here, right? Which ones of these things are you doing, and what do you commit to doing consistently would be the question. Because clearly, even though you say, Luisa, that you don't really, you're not like so purposeful about reaching out and talking to database only or whatever, but clearly you're doing all the things. Right. So, that's what the real relationship, staying in that relationship with those, it doesn't matter where they are with the cards and everything. Right. Mm-hmm. So what about different agents? Are you getting any like agent to agent referrals?
I've had a couple of agent referrals, usually in the Tom Ferry coaching pool that we have.
Yeah.
that I do, but I do try to get myself, like today I'm going to broker's tour. I need to start doing that again, to meet agents, like at a property in Hart, the one that we actually just closed yesterday with Serene. Two of those agents, I actually know them from my previous open house. So we already had, a relationship, and she's like, hey, tell me more about this property leader. Okay, I'm like, okay, I'll give you a call. Let me know. And she'll be like, my clients really love this property. Please tell me, like, what can we do to get it? I'm like, okay, I'll text you later. So it's, so that's like very important. Like when you go to the open house in your broker's tour, make sure that the agent sees you and like talks to you, and don't be a jerk. And like, and when you have an open house, don't be a jerk to those agents. I talk to them. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not the type of agent like, okay, go ahead and walk around with your client. No, I'm like, hey, so what are they looking for? So how many open houses have you guys been to? Oh my gosh, really? Like we have like a real conversation. So I'm not like, I'm always never, I mean, you guys probably already know me. I'm never like always just be about real estate. Like I'll talk to you about like other stuff. Like I'll try to make it, even when I'm prospecting, I don't talk about like, hey, what are you buying or selling? No, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the roof. Or even when I'm doing my open houses, like like Jessica and Matt saw me, like I joke around with them, right? Like I build that rapport. It's not all about like the house, not about the real estate. It's more about them. Like I always, when I talk to people, I always think it's always about you. It's never about me.
Yeah. So, and we've talked about that before. I think it was Jessica who last week said, be interested, not interesting, right? Was that you, Jess?
Right.
I think it was. Yeah. And so that's so good. So more options to lead generate from broker tours, right? And then also any kind of like networking groups or coaching groups like Tom Ferry or whatever groups that you're like involved in, right?
Yeah. I'm part of the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce too, so I try to go there all the time with all of their events. And then again, I make sure, because we have a chance to talk all the time in front of, we have about almost 200 members now, and it's all over. It's not just LA. And it's like Glendale, it's Pasadena, it's like all over LA. And so I pay that extra money, like $50 just to get like 10 minutes of time with them to let them know, like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I'm not like your boring real estate agent that will tell you like, buy a house, interest rates are good. So I try to make it like fun and like funny, or like just be myself basically. And then telling them that I'm a real estate agent.
Awesome. Okay, so, and Luisa, when did you first get licensed, by the way?
Oh my gosh, I found out yesterday. So I've been thinking that I've been almost licensed almost 8, but apparently I've only been licensed for 6 years.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens to me.
It felt like forever. Yeah.
Seems like a long time.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm like telling him, I'm like, oh, it's been like 8 years. I think I'm about to do my test again. Like I have to redo my license and all that stuff. And then I was looking through somebody asked me, I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, it's only been 6 years. I'm like, oh shit, all right. That's great.
Well, that's awesome. So you are always like I said, even when we were at conferences or whatever, I feel like you have the most energy of all of us. So how do you keep up your energy and your motivation levels?
I don't know. You know what? It's so funny because I've always been an energizer bunny, even when I was little. And so there was like a time in my life when I got divorced, that I really was not this happy person. I took like a 360 degrees, like literally for 4 years. I was a miserable little, after that. So then I just started thinking, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm so unhappy. Like even my friends, even like one of my best friends, she's like, I don't even want to be around you. I'm like, why? but I need you, you know, and I'm always like complaining, whatever. And then it just hit me. Well, I started going to another church, and then it just hit me at that time. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I being such a victim, right? And I'm like, I have 2 kids, like I have to take care of them. I'm like, you need to snap out of this. And I just did. And so now I usually use, I used to stress about when I'm late. I'm also very competitive, like to the max. That's like, it's not even fun anymore for me. So I got out of sports because I could never like wanted to lose. And if I lose, like it was done and over with. I could never be late. When I'm late, I'm like, what the heck? Like it just ruins my whole day. So now I'm late, I'm like, things happen for a reason. There's a reason why I'm late. There's a reason why, you know, God is like making me like be here 2 minutes later. Something happened. Anything that's like my problem, you know, I leave it outside the door and I just like refocus, and I'm like, okay, they know here in the office, like I'm always at my office and I'm always blasting like loud music, whether if it's 90s hip hop, whether it's Pitbull, you know. Alejandro's like, are you having a party? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm having a party, you know. And I'm like doing my work and I'm like cold calling, talk to my clients, right? But mostly like my energy is like, and then I go to the gym. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, go to the gym. I started meditating, and that's actually like really helping me now. And just thinking about like, today's a great day, everything's happy.
Positive.
Like everything's happy.
That's fine.
So it sounds to me like you sort of went through this like exploration of like, okay, why is there a reason for these things? Or am I just, you know, like you kind of like went back to your own blueprint and said, these are things that work for me personally to stay energized, right? I know that you go to the gym in the mornings, which is like one of the best ways to get clarity, starting early, to get all that oxygen and everything going. So, and you know, I was never a morning person until COVID. I was like, I literally, when people would say, live your life by design, I thought to myself, I want to work from 10 to 7 or later and not any earlier than that, you know? And it's just so funny. I've completely turned around, but there's something about that morning, getting your blood going to get that really like very clear clarity feeling in your head. And I think that that's a really good one to take away, you know? So you have that, you blast music, you do all of that stuff to stay energized. And then that way, and you also keep your head in the game inside of the office, right? So I would like to hear, does anybody have any comments on any of this stuff? What are you guys hearing in her, you know, because these are all things that are making her successful.
So yeah, I got one.
Yeah, please.
So this is a while back, but I remember someone saying, if you ever want to get to know somebody and they happen to have kids, look at their kids, right? And the kids will tell you a lot about the parents. Now there are outliers where you can have an alcoholic dad and the kid still rises to the occasion. But I remember Luisa sharing a story about your son, and her son got cut from the baseball team, right? And that's like one of the best things that could ever happen, or the worst things. Like some people will carry that for the rest of their lives and say, oh, I'm a failure. I'm never gonna amount to anything. Her son did the Michael Jordan thing. And I believe your son did it because he saw you do it. You know, more is caught than taught, right? And what you were saying, like, hey, you went from this roller coaster high to the valley, and then you shot up 10x way beyond your previous high, right? I imagine your son saw that and was like, oh, you're gonna cut me? And what did you do? You dropped him off earlier for strength and conditioning. He did more practices. He walked by them, not to strut, but to say, hey, I'm gonna make it back. And what ended up happening, he had the 1 year off training, comes back, makes varsity, after being on varsity, being cut, makes varsity, and then at the awards, you know, obviously they win, they do go through the season, and he gets awarded what?
Best improved.
Best improved, right? And he was probably not just best improved, he was probably in the starting lineup, I imagine. You know,
You
so you see that, and that's a reflection of parenting. Now, granted, there's other factors,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, as a single mom, you know, you're doing a lot more than just real estate. You know, I look at Monica, or I look at just moms in general, and you guys run like 3, 4, 5 different companies.
Yeah.
And if you have
Yeah.
multiple kids, it's like a company per child.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was kind of like my outsider's view in what you're saying.
And what
Thank you.
fascinates me, Luisa, is that it's very hard for people to do that, to take that moment, like what they're going through, and to make that decision and have that mindset shift. It's very difficult. Not everybody can do that. And you took that and you're like, okay, this is enough. I don't like, you know, how I am and what I'm doing, and I'm gonna change it. You made that decision and you work towards it. And now you're like this positive energy, and I love being around you because I feel that, and that's huge for me.
Thank
Like
you.
positivity, so kudos.
I like being around you guys too. Yeah, it was funny because the other, like maybe 2 weeks ago, I took my son to his very first job interview at McDonald's, and we had to go through the valley, right? And so we were passing by this church, which basically where he used to go to school for preschool. And this was in Reseda. And my ex-mother, parents-in-law lived maybe like a block away. Mind you, at that time, I was already a single parent. I had my 2 kids. My daughter, who goes to Lupin Hill here in Calabasas, we already live here in Calabasas. She goes to school at Lupin Hill for pre-K. I drop her off, and then my son's preschool is in Reseda. Mind you, that's about like 30, 40, 45-minute drive, depending on the traffic. And then I have to go to work by 8 o'clock at the property management. So we were like passing by, and I'm like, do you remember that church? And like, yeah, that was my preschool church, right? My preschool. And I'm like, yeah, and me and him, we were like, damn, like, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I got both of you guys up, took you to school, had to pick you up in the middle of the day, be able to get back to work on time so I don't get, let go or fired. I had to drop you off to your grandparents, go back to Calabasas, then after work, pick up your sister, then pick you up, then go back home and like do dinner. And I was like, I don't know how I did it, honestly.
Yeah.
And my son, like he almost made me cry, which I don't cry. And he's like, Mom, because you're a super mom.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was like, because you're the super mom. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to eat?
That's awesome. So we are at the bottom of the hour. I want to make sure we're respecting everyone's time, but that, I think that for a Friday, that is a really good, what Jessica was saying, like a feel good thing, right? Like staying positive, be positive, be like Luisa. I want to like make one of those characters like cartoons. So this weekend, because energy attracts energy. And so, you cannot vibrate on the same frequency as somebody who is that like her, unless you're literally put yourself on that same frequency. Everything is energy. So, everybody do what you can today to get your energy levels up and be like Luisa and dance around, shake your booty, jump on the trampoline. Any last words, Luisa? Words of wisdom?
No, I mean, basically just do it. Remember, you can have excuses or results, but you can't have both.
Results are results. Yeah. Okay. I love that. Okay, guys, let's have a great weekend. Go get yourself some business. Stay in relationships. Happy Father's Day to everybody. And we'll see you on Monday.
Have a good, productive weekend, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sonia.
Bye.
Thanks, Luisa.
Thank you, Luisa.
Sonia.
Yeah.